There's a strategy in that play. We're just trying to pray it out because, yeah, that's for sure. Hey, how's it going? It's Man of Tomorrow here. I want to thank you guys for coming through. Um, we see the non-talented crew, all the players from the third shift who should be out chasing women are out here again talking about SYSBM. Listen, man, it's nobody's fault that the thing that you actually invested in now has no relevance. And you got to deal with free competition in the marketplace. Just how the women was actually out there having that level of relevance without competition. You actually have to have your money together to actually go other places. I get the slander. I do understand it. They want to justify why they're so alpha. They just can't be alpha for no alpha type reason. They have to have company at the bottom. You have to realize that once you start winning as a man, once you can get whatever you want to as a man, you're just going to have to travel to get it. I did. The moment I made it to women without nonsense, that mouth, that attitude, and that typical black outcome, my eyes were open, man. It's all bunker to you. Like I didn't have to go through and repeatedly trying to make people compete with what I'm doing. I never had to do that. I never had to do that. Ever. And guess what? There's a lot more other people who want to hear that type of nonsense rather than men getting their stuff together. But there's a reason why this keeps happening. And the first and foremost thing is nobody's being stepdads to their baby mamas. That's the very first thing within the environment. Because see, this is why most pro-blacks stay around these type of women. Because they want the women's legs to be and stay open. So that way the women are filled with a level that there's not going to be any consequences for their action and that somebody else is going to come through and clean up this mess for them. So you might as well screw the entire planet while somebody else is going to clean up the mess. And the results are in. It turns out that's not the case. Dating app after dating app is now trying to tell men what type of women that they're going to be interested in when it comes to age and having kids. It is almost as if they want you to keep competing for bottom barrel people. Because that's what the game is about. The game is about giving your best self to women who are not worth it. That's what game is. And they're not even playing the game. They're just trying to get new people into the game so that way they can get out of the game. That's all it is. But this is where we are. Because within Black America, and maybe white America to some instance, I don't. I really don't blame Mr. Jack for this. But this was always going to loop back here because they're out of arguments. They're out of arguments. For real. They are out of arguments. But you have to understand that it's either the women are worth it or they are not worth it. It's either they can compete or they can't compete. And women are supposed to be competing for you. And you're supposed to put yourself in the best environment to get the best outcome for yourself. And all these restrictions that they're trying to place on the men, they don't place on the women at all. They've never tried to place any restrictions on the women. Why? Because it was the women's job to feed most of these bottom barrel men in the environment. That's what the women's job was. Whether they knew it or not, this is what it came down to. There was going to be no consequences for the woman because somebody was going to be playing the game of musical vag and they was just going to lump all their responsibilities onto somebody else when the music stopped. But when the music stopped, there was nobody else around. Them dudes already left. The point of you being here is get the maximum out of what you're doing here. What's going on, Dark Night Mentality? What's going on, 1 3? You are correct. It is a Ponzi scheme. It's a braggadocio level of Ponzi scheme. Nobody has proven that they've been chose up on by any woman within the space. Nobody. Nobody. What woman who's a 7 or above went up there and just chose up on it? Nobody has done that. So your job is always to maximize the amount of options for yourself, no matter how far you got to go to get it. That's with anything. That's why you gain skills and abilities, so that way you can increase your upward mobility. But when you have the stagnant class of men, the stepdad class of men, the dudes who done completely ruined their whole life for this actual domestic counterpart, this is what you're going to end up with. You're going to end up with these type of conversations. And these type of conversations, because these dudes have no real talent and skill, they're bottom feeders. They just wait for an issue to go out there, try to cover it, and try to loop it back into the dumbass shit that they currently are around. It don't make any sense. Because if more men became productive, you don't need guys like that. And you really don't need women like that if men can location max. But to them, you have to play the quote unquote game that they can't even prove that they're in a certain type of way. Their skill is YouTube. But this is where we are. How can you call yourself Player Talk Radio and during the player hours you're talking to other men and not chasing women? And you're not proving that you're a player while doing so. How is this happening? But you're going to see this stuff go on a lot. But I'm telling you, the worst thing you could possibly do is to bow down to these demands and start playing the actual quote unquote game that they want you to play. You don't need more coping mechanisms and skills to get basic things within the environment. Oh, hey, God. Once you wait for basic things, they become not really all that basic once you get access to it. And once you start celebrating access to basic things, it makes you look like a damn fool. Scrum is pumping up. But the problem is there has to be a level of men who actually care about the system in order for it to work. Now, see, they're the level of men who don't care about it working, as proof of their track record. But you have to keep yourself out of this stuff so that way it can implode on itself. Because the only thing this does is it makes the domestic counterpart feel special that they are trying to have men come here to fight on their behalf. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not my job to sit out here and wait to be chosen by a woman, even though that is what's being taught out here by a great deal of failed men. That is stupid. It's the culture's job to prepare women for the actual men within the environment. And since our culture prepared women to be on the environment well into their 50s and to not be happy with any choice that they do make, you have to look at that for what it is. That has to be the crux of their argument. Because they don't have any proof. You got child support dudes telling dudes not to leave the country to go pay for sex, even though they are paying for sex well after the actual hit and having a shittily raised child as a result of it. But that's where we are. You see, the internet is going to be an actual place for all failed men, large and small, to come to air their grievances. Now, obviously, this is not part of the manosphere-based content, but these parasites attach themselves to a movement that they don't believe in, and then they try to turn it into something that is not the original point of the movement. Since when is the manosphere a place where we slandering other black men? Not reptiles. This is a place all about slandering reptiles and leaving their women alone. Again, the men are trying to restrict you to women that hasn't changed anything. They haven't changed the way they operated. They have had no live streams online about it. Nothing. Most of this talk in this space is based on the fact of how crazy and what is the next unbelievably bad thing that has happened. That is being said online. That is not being checked by other women online. But you have to realize, if you keep immersing yourself in a product that you claim that you don't want, by definition, you still want that product. You just want it to act better. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to go around learning what's going on. Son, it's hot room. What's wrong, David Bowman? Like, I'm not going to go around and learn everything about a bad product and then engage in a bad product myself. That's stupid. I would never do that. These people know full well, that nobody is listening to them who has any type of sense. These people want to be leaders. They can't be leaders. They're past their prime. The only thing that they have accomplished is turning on the internet and getting a whole bunch of failed men to follow them. Yes, what happens when you give men enough information about a bad product? People disengage, just like you just said. People disengage and they find alternatives. So now men are being slandered because now they found alternatives that work for them. How come we're not slandering street guys for destroying the community? How come I got to be the only one doing it? How come we got to slander older black men who can't seem to take a side on what type of progress is to be had within the environment? How come those people are not being slandered? How come we're not slandering the hell out of pimps? At least the online kind. Why are we not slandering OGs who freely use the misguided boys and girls for their own purposes to go to jail? How come we're not slandering street guys? How come we're not slandering pro-blacks who have no intentions on changing the environment? Yeah, but all the slander goes towards men who want to leave this stuff alone. But the restriction is to come to the men, but not the women. I don't understand that. Yeah, Zero, I get you, man. But it's like, bro, at some point, you have to maximize choice. And you have to stay away from bad options. That's also part of choice. This is what this is what's going on here. Also, that way they can have something to talk about. That was the live stream from yesterday. That was the live stream from yesterday. Obsolete black men who come online talking all this nonsense. Obsolete. Obsolete. But this is what we are. Who is trying to draft any of these black men to go run their stuff? The movement is real. I keep telling you. Cahill, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. I know I butchered that thing rough. But see, the problem is that we got the reasonable fuck nigga movement going, man. No, we got fuck niggas with a heart of gold, man. Fuck niggas with a future. Fuck niggas of tomorrow, man. That's what it is. And it's like they're gonna keep trying to remake themselves into something else. Something bad just have to happen in society for them to actually cover it. But they're online. You wanna know why they're online? This stuff haven't worked in their communities. So now they want to get other failed men to come online to talk about this together. They are. They're like, look, why don't you come back? We're going to put restrictions on you and you're going to take care of our women. What a deal. Put it there, pal. Yes, that's exactly what it is, Mike B. Oh, you're the traitor because you don't want to clean up. Not them the traitor for making this mess. You're the traitor for wanting a better life. You're the traitor for wanting peace. You're the traitor for not trying to help them get on. You're the traitor for not letting Pookie and Ray Ray run your corporation. You're the traitor. That's right. You're the traitor, not them. Yeah. Yeah, King Sigma. Yeah, you got to talk about it. You know, they love throwing around the P word and all this kind of stuff because they know in real life, man, you would get your wig knocked back talking about slandering a certain type of people with that type of language. That's if you survive failed tactic number one. Failed tactic number two is achieve masculinity through getting a ninja's respect or trying to upkeep the respect in that. It was. It's just that it's been circulated again. But since it's there a whole bunch of new people in the space, King Sigma, you have to keep having the conversation again. But even talking about this issue on the other end make you look like a cold-blooded failure, man. It really makes you look dumb. Especially when you're not trying to restrict the actual choosing mechanism of the women in the actual environment and expect the restriction of men is going to clean up after said women in the same environment. It don't make any sense. But this is where we are. They have mortgaged their entire masculinity on protecting the free choice of this product. Yeah, like King Sigma, like that's the thing, man. They love slandering dudes, man. They don't slander the people who should be slandered. They slander the dudes who don't clean up after them. And then they expect for you to work with them. Then they all want to come together. No, don't come together. This stuff need to be split apart. Yes. They're trying to sell you a ticket to their own private hell. That's all they're doing. They're fighting on the behalf of the women, and the women are not even asking for this type of help. They're just doing it for free. These are free labor simps. Tricking off time, tricking off masculinity, tricking off their self-respect to hopefully get noticed by a counterpart who doesn't care about them. The plan was to destroy the actual male production because that competes with the level of the woman's control within the environment. That's why they always hated productivity. They never wanted productivity to matter because productivity gives you a level of freedom and choice, but they don't want you to have choice. Yes, you have older black men in this space talking about body game, giving their best selves to way older women, setting them up for a geriatric pregnancy so that way he can help the women survive. But that's what we are. It's the failures who's talking loud. It's the failures who has a chorus. It's the failures. Yeah, but you got to recognize, man, that they know that you have a better deal if you take it elsewhere. They only want your resources. They don't care about your happiness. They only want your resources to take care of the environment. Especially if you got minimal skills and you can go to another country and live extremely well. This is where we are right now. The movement is growing. We don't have to actually go out and broadcast anything. And here's the other thing, they're not messing with these counterparts either. I'd be damned if I did everything that I did in life only to turn around and try to give it to some of the worst group of people imaginable. That's not something that I would do. That doesn't make any sense to me. These people here have a cultural track record that you should pay attention to. So hi, this Rod. Thanks for the 10 pounds super chat. They're against brothers tricking because they know the women, the masses for free and disloyal and have a price that can be bought. I think that's half of it. I think the other half of it is they want you to earn worthless stuff rather than setting your own price and getting up out of there. Because see, most of these people have paid well over full price for the experience that they have surrendered themselves to. A lot of these people have. A lot of these dudes haven't seen their kids in years after they done dealt with XYZ said woman. Yeah. This is why I seen it from beginning to end, and I just stayed out of it. I ain't got to never worry about going to child support court for a kid that ain't mine. I ain't got to worry about that. You could talk as much stuff as you want to about me not being passed around or being 2 a.m. ring a dick within this environment. Dude, I'm happy about that. But that's the point. Like when you're looking at people who have a flawed version of masculinity that's based on being sexually used by people who don't respect them, like, yeah, this is what we are. Yeah, I mean, because we had the same conversation 6 months ago, and 12 months ago, and 18 months. Yes, 2 years ago, we had the same conversation. Yeah, productivity is actually respected other places. This is why people go other places. That's what I'm saying, man. You build the castle walls high and you lock the door. You only have to get this thing right once. They have to keep recycling the same points over again and over again and over again. And I think we should keep having the conversation. Because otherwise, they become the dominant voice in the space on nonsense. Because remember, they came to a manosphere that was about learning about the bad things that are happening within the environment and making better choices and decisions. They came here to turn the actual mission into the opposite of what it actually means. They did that. They never say anything about the women who go to these Super Bowl parties. They never say anything to these women who rush to Vegas on these quote unquote girls' trips. Never say anything about that. Because they can't openly debate the topic and subject. It's called free choice. Like they got the free choice to mess around with this nonsense. We have the free choice to not deal with this nonsense. It's not that hard. Some things you got to understand that these people are here to destroy, keep masculinity destroyed. They don't want men modernizing, taking advantage of opportunity within the environment because it brings great shame to people who has never taken advantage of opportunity within the environment. This is why they want masculinity to stay broken. But this is where we at. The manosphere is now a place where women get served uniquely. They uniquely get served by the failed men who have attached themselves to this concept to try to doom all men. Now, they couldn't go build their own movement. They had to come to a movement and try to turn it into what they wanted to turn it into. A lot of these dudes on child support, a lot of these dudes got felonies, a lot of these dudes just really ain't culturally got what it takes to go to another place and actually be accepted anywhere. Because to be quite honest, these guys are the educated, uneducated lames everywhere else they go. They don't follow tradition. They don't follow conditions. They don't even care. They expect the whole world to bow down to them. Rather than challenge people to a debate, they keep adding things to SYSBM and Passport Bros. They're not even part of the group. They're not even part of the group. Telling the group what they should be doing when they're not part of the group. What's going on, Ike? And it isn't just regular black men. It's failed black men. Whenever somebody's talking about somebody who's traveling, like Ike right now, he's in Africa. Should he really be confined to the actual United States? In a certain type of condition? Yeah. You see, this is why you're supposed to work with the best of the best people. So that way you can have the best of the best outcome. This is why most of these people never wanted you to work with other productive people. Because if you work with other productive people, you shut them out of the conversation. This is what this fake togetherness was about. They kept wanting you to put the bunny rabbit and the rattlesnake in the same bag without them being separated, and fully expecting, once you get to your destination, that both of those things was going to live through that trip. The results are in. What's going on, Melody? The results are in. They lost. They want us to compete in their system, but they have to compete in our system. It doesn't matter how a dude looks or what he weighs or any of that stuff. If that person puts himself in the right level of productivity and in the right place that respects productivity, dude, there's nothing you can do to stop that dude. Thanks so much, Nick, because that's why I joined the movement. To let people know that, nah, man, you can win this. The victory is right in grasp, and everybody can win within this environment. Everybody can. Everybody can, man. Because I can tell you this, there ain't a woman who got her stuff together, who's looking right, who don't have a problem getting men within this environment. There is no problem. Absolutely no problem. But you have to realize that there becomes a point in time where the original way to formulate a family through people who look like us become an obsolete option. If you have your DNA mapped, you would realize that you have different areas of the world within your DNA. Yes, at that point, your father, grandfather, great grandfather, great 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 grandfather, and so on decided that that environment that they were in was not good enough to produce offspring to go to the next generation. I gotta move. These people attitudes and culture that they've adopted has not moved. Therefore, I gotta move. I want a better outcome. I want a better result. I gotta put the work in. There's nobody externally that's being blamed here. Because this stuff may be spreading everywhere, but it's not as fast as you think. But There's going to be more and more failed men coming online trying to make it look like they're winning within the environment when they're clearly not. This is why you have to go other places. This is why I love traveling. Even with what I'm doing. Dude, that's some of the stuff I picked up from small towns. Dude, great stuff. You don't need a lot to live. You don't. But a lot of these people think that they've lost their chance to be happy when only thing they have to do is leave the nonsense alone and still go out there and legitimately produce, and you can still be there. But see, they don't want to leave the nonsense alone. They want to hold on to the nonsense and keep moving in some type of direction that they think is progress, and it don't work that way. Yeah, you don't have to play. You're already a winner by not playing. You're already a winner by not competing in a corrupt and broken system. You're already a winner. Most of these people don't want you to know how far ahead you are than they are. That's why they're on this mad road to damage, destroy, discredit, and slander you so that way you can come back down to their level. Again, you educate people on what's going on here. There was two types of farming. The first type of farming during the slave period was creating the best productive person to be on the plantation. Now, the level of farming within these communities is about creating the most inept person possible that cannot produce. You got to understand this is what is going on. And if the counterpart's acceptance is their height of masculinity, then you just stop trying to be accepted by the actual height of their masculinity. They know full well I am invalidating their masculinity because it's not real masculinity. It's codependent masculinity. It's codependent on an actual opinion that doesn't need to be based on. You have a lot of grifters who came through here, grifting off black culture. People who know better, people who are educated, people who have good jobs. But grifting off black culture is just too easy. Nah, man. They don't want the women. That's the problem. They can't get the women. They can't get them. That's the problem. They don't want the women and they can't get the women, but they don't want you moving on to better things. We have seen the enemy, and it is us. They want to die in peace. They want to normalize these problems and they want to take a dirt nap. This is why it's vitally important for the younger generations to understand Clearly, with the least level of productivity, you can get a hell of a lot more than the dude with the most game. Period. All you gotta do is produce, keep your production to oneself, not spend it on other people within the environment who don't respect it. You're good. So many people I talk to, very young people who I talk to, because that's why my subscribers are growing, because I'm getting through to a younger audience. Because this is where the actual message actually needs to be. It doesn't need to be in the hands of old failures. Because a lot of these old failures want you to go through the same system that they've been through. It's time that we give the younger generation a shot and a chance at being better than these old fools. Every time you challenge their masculinity, they point towards a female that they're not even proving that they're even being with. That's what it is. We got to do better than this. We got to do better than this. This stuff is so far on display. I think if you got this message down to younger men, no matter what situation that they're raised into, like, that's when it became real for me. I seen what was happening. I seen those people who was coming from college, coming back to work at Kmart and Walmart and Wendy's and McDonald's. I'm like, damn, why am I going to try to get out of here if the only thing I'm going to do is go to Mississippi Valley or Jackson State or anywhere else just to end my ass back up here? But I had, like, after my father and grandfather died, I had coaches who actually wanted to see the best out of me to tell me to get up out of there. Go see the world. Go to the military. If you ain't got no connections out of town to where you can go and actually be there, leave this place. Yeah, next thing you know, they're going to be wanting $15 an hour online on YouTube. But this is where we are. And you got to realize the same cycle is just going to keep cycling itself over again and over again and over again. But you got to get to these young dudes before they end up messing up their life forever. That was my first station, man. Loved it out there. Loved it out there. That was my first station, Ramstein. What's going on, Grinch? They can't beat the programming to revert back to default plantation settings. And anytime they see a contradiction in the code was made to keep us cagey. Yes, I agree. I agree. It's like, I mean, it was a nearly 100% failure rate, but I think like the churn rate is getting, a little bit lower and a little bit lower. But like, as long as like the productive men don't turn around and throw it right back at the people who failed, I think we can get this stuff under control. I think we can get this stuff under control through our own productivity and not giving it away to dumbass people. I really think we can do that. Hey, Walt, man. I keep telling them people that Popeyes delivered on Ramstein, man. They don't believe me. They don't believe. They don't believe that Popeyes actually delivered chicken to people, man. Yeah, but this is where we at though. Listen, man, I want all these dudes to win. All of them. You deserve to have a chance to see how far whatever DNA model you got, to see how far it can go without these people's opinion. I went to Kosan after that, and that's why I ended up in Colorado. Man, look, you can't stop dudes from doing that. You can just show dudes the outcomes of not chasing that stuff and leaving that stuff alone. But look, man, you got to have the outcomes to speak. You got to have the outcomes and the mindset to give to these younger people. That's what's going to help them more than anything else. The mind state and the outcome. You have to be a full weapon against this actual environment. Everything that you do inside of your life is hell. It has to be hell bent on keeping the actual thing away from people. You have to be able to rise above the actual things that they're clearly trying to net you into. And that's why they're going to stay slandering people who travel, people who get the most out of life. Because it's all about it not being shared with other people inside of the environment. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, game is that. That's it. That's what it is. There is plenty of earth and water at the bottom of the pit. You just got to go down there and find out. One way in, no way out. But that is where we are. These people are going to continue to get louder and louder as they cannot be able to produce within the environment. You don't see the United States government trying to put restrictions on people, passports, or any of that type of other stuff. You don't see the government doing that. Yeah. Now you see that it was never, it was actually never the women who had the most choice. It was the men. Choice through restriction. What's going on, straight shooter? That is correct. I don't even care about the actual complaint systems and structures because you have to realize that you got to have realistic solutions for these people. And getting yourself a skill is the way. The money's over here on the productive male side. The money is not on the game side of the coin. It has never been over there. The illicit money might be over there. Hey, you got to be able to comport with what people want if you want to travel. But you still got more options. You just got to work to get them. You can't look at being verified through an improper system. The time for sitting around is over. You're not going to be able to make it in this society and the environment redoing their failed system. The system failed. Look at the people defending it. All you gotta do, if you want to see the true thing of any system, look at the people who are defending said failure. And look at the people who are defending said failure and compare them against other men in the same environment. And here's the other thing. The women are not talking about how they bowed down to the game. I've never heard women on the panel talking about how they bowed down to dudes with game. They're not even doing any of that stuff. They're not doing it. That's the thing, King Sigma. They have no criticism for anything that happens within the environment here in the United States. This is why I tell people, bro, you're going to have to choose a side, man. You're going to have to choose a side. Why do they keep removing moderators from people, man? Bumper man, thank you for the 999 super chat. They're on child support, so they can't even travel. Yeah. Also, they don't want to travel is because they're comfortable where they are. But that's their level of comfort. What's up, Doug? But what about another man's level of comfort within the environment? It's almost like the women get to choose a man's comfort, but a man don't get to choose his own comfort. Why can't a man choose his own level of comfort? Who made those type of rules where the level of comfort is to be handed down to you, but you can't go choose your own level of comfort? Who made those rules? You guys got to realize they're trying to blackwash the actual results. They're trying to make it look like they're actually winning when they clearly are not. The only thing you have to do is produce and keep your production to yourself. You're already winning. You're winning via not playing. The problem is they don't want you to understand the results before you have to give it to them. They're trying to enforce that you work with people that you're not cultured to deal with. Yes. A lot of people want to see you over there. A lot of people want to see you happy. And a lot of people know the Black American experience a hell of a lot better than most people here understand it. When I was in Germany, I picked up a German history book and I read about the actual conditions of people here in the United States. And they were brutal and they were not wrong. Not wrong at all. It is. They want class restriction. They only want that class of people to only serve their needs. And if you cannot serve their needs, then the only thing they can do is slander you at that point. The only thing they can do is try to talk a whole bunch of stuff behind your back at that point. That's the only thing they can do. But see, there's a particular strategy here in trying to slander people who's not competing for what they're competing for. I can guarantee you're going to see some of these failed men start outwardly attacking people, or the women outwardly trying to clout chase off of running up in the face of people who have a different level and mind state of spouse than they expect them to have. Yeah, they're the real communists. Sexual marketplace communists. I think, who said that? I think it was maybe Obsidian who said that. Maybe it's somebody else. It's better to have options, man. I'm here for peace and tranquility for myself and what I want to create going forward. No, I think it was the excuse mechanism. It was a coping mechanism for bowing down to that. It was a coping mechanism to keep running after the same thing. It was a coping mechanism. So that's how they cope with it, is they overcompensate with this immeasurable level of gain. That's what it is. What's going on, Rocco Keller 7? Again, I'm not even worried about those type of restrictions. I kept myself in order. I kept myself in line. I didn't go out here doing stupid stuff, and I got my passport. So that way I could go whenever I want to. Oh, no. Oh, no. Not at all. In fact, Mike Tyson got turned around in a couple of countries that he tried to go visit. To be quite honest with you, yeah. That's where we are. Because they want to draw attention to themselves. It's a badge of honor to stay here within a bad environment and keep trying to make it work. That's what it is. They're trying to make it look like it's a badge of honor, Ashel. That's what it is. They keep trying to make it look like that. And this is why you got to be able to have a good track record, man, because a good track record is accepted everywhere. Is accepted everywhere. Everywhere it's accepted. Because they think you're deficient if you actually don't want to deal with these people within the environment. When it's actually those people who are actually deficient within the environment who you shouldn't be dealing with in the first place. I remember one time I took an entire year off. It was one of the greatest times I've ever had. Went back to every military installation I've ever been on, even the ones I was on temporarily. Went to a whole bunch of countries and just had a ball, man. It felt good, man. Going back to all those places, reliving all those memories, sometimes digging up some of those people who, you know what I'm saying, I was in the military with, all types of stuff. It was a great time, man, to retrace the steps. Now I did everything else except for go back to Mississippi. But yeah, it was great, man. All around the country. Spending a week here, spending a week there, spending a month here, going all over Europe, doing all this other stuff. Yeah, man, it was great. Going to all types of places, man. But for me to stay within an environment that don't serve me so that way I can brag about being that, man, that's crazy. Thanks for the $5 super chat, even though this is not about Master Jack. But yeah, it's about the concept. It's the overall concept of criticizing men who travel versus men who stay and make things as bad as they are for everybody else. That's what the point of the discussion is. But this isn't a one-time thing. We had this conversation 6 months ago and a year ago and 18 months ago. It keeps coming up because they're out of things and excuses of why these women are not retiring. And that's on him, Ashel. If he didn't create an actual distinction, hey, man, that's on him. I'm pretty sure he could clean up his words, but this ain't about really Minister Jap. It's the concept, because it's not Minister Jap who's actually out there slandering black men like that. It ain't. It's this whole conglomerate of failed black America that's doing that. It's not really a Minister Jap thing. Yeah. Hey, man, look, King Sigma, I still got all the live streams. I still got all the live streams. They are obsolete. They obsolete right now. What's going on, Pablo? But this is where we are. Dude, you will have an epiphany no matter where you go, as long as it's different than this actual outcome right here. I don't even care. I don't even want that dude even speaking on that, because his job is to get these people married to one another within this society and environment. So I don't know. I mean, his job is to talk to broken women who you're not going to be picking up and marrying. The women who failed in feminism. Yeah, so yeah. Yeah. But then again, there'll be a hell of a lot more people paying attention. So if you don't keep having a counter argument out there while these conversations keep happening, they become the dominant voice. Like, how you think Yo Mama Black came to be such a mainstay within Black America? Because everybody was using the same thing to shut down basic conversations about criticism. So once we start pointing out overall how ridiculous the argument is that Yo Mama, yeah, it disappeared. But King Sigma, that's okay with them. It's okay with them at that point. That's okay with them. That is really okay with them. But maximizing choice is what you're supposed to be here for. Could you imagine if you was restricted to your hometown and you was never able to leave? You had to find a way to actually survive just within that environment alone. Imagine if I had to still be in Mississippi. You think that would have worked out for me? The way leaving that place worked out for me? It would be nowhere near the close to the same results. Yeah. They're actually getting out front of the shame game. So that way they don't fall victim to the same stuff that they should fall victim to. That's what it is. They want to get out front. What's going on, King Signal? What's going on, man?
Hey man, good Monday, brother. I hope that it's starting off on the right foot, but I definitely think this is starting off on the wrong foot, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, but there's a lot more other people who are in this space, obviously, because the failed people are getting their little buzz off. So you have to be able to have the counter argument. I think that contrast is actually needed every time the discussion is had. Contrast should be needed.
Well, I'll re-release those. So to those that are not aware, I came into this space in 2018, and about a year into the space, that's when the cycle ended. So I kind of found out that this space goes in circles. The beginning of the reset is always with the educated lane versus the Pookie conversation, and it ends pretty much with the traveling brothers kind of conversation or the anti-free choice, and then it pretty much resets itself. So when I did those panels, and I think MOT was on a few of them, I think we did about 10 hours of panels, and these were some of the biggest voices in this space, that have been around for years and years. And I got everyone's thoughts on it. So when the Dick Police came for free men at that time, they went silent for just about 2 years. So what I'm going to do, instead of having brothers have to do panel after panel, I'm going to re-release those 10 hours because I think that it was great arguments and these guys were totally debunked in a logical and educational way. So I'll definitely re-release those later today. So if you guys want to listen to the conversation, it'll be there. But we're talking about a class issue. We're talking about something that's very American in its nature. When you talk to people from other countries, and I've talked to a lot of immigrants that live here in America, in my city, and they tell me that they've been traveling all their life and they weren't even rich. But travel is something they consider an enriching experience. But it's only within this context of America and the black male's psychological slavery that he considers anything that's not culturally approved by white men, because that's who they go to, their white daddy first, and then their black female right hand. So here's the irony of this shit. Black women have been traveling more than black men since the 80s, having passports more than black men. In fact, if you go back and look at the 90s, they built a whole industry on promoting black women traveling, and it kind of reached a peak with that movie, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. So Terry McMillan and the grandmothers of today, when they were in their 20s and 30s, they were heavily promoting this amongst black women. It kind of went quiet for a while after she got caught up with the homosexual Jamaican man. So basically, she was encouraging black women to go to other countries and trick and become sugar mamas to these Jamaicans and other kind of guys. But the whole thing blew up in her face where the dude ended up being accused of being a homosexual. He divorced her and got the bag. And then I believe he married a man. So that shit went real quiet. But no one made a fuss of black women going overseas, tricking, and not giving those resources to black men, not giving their vagina to black men. But the moment that the 2000s came around and the internet began to spread and international ATMs and the cost of flights went down, then now it's an issue because black men have started to close the gap on the traveling rates with black women. So that's where we're at right now.
And even then, King Sigma, black men are still the least likely to have a passport because of their incarceration rates and them being put on child support and all that stuff. So I don't understand why they're still mad. You're doing it more than them. It's like you really want to control black men so badly.
They don't really want to control us, bro. I think it's more of a peacocking thing. One of the things I learned from the passport gate situation back in 2019, man, was that it's not really about them trying to control black men. It's about peacocking on the plantation for those babes that they want. But here's the thing. Here's why you know that this thing is like been regurgitated too many times. Back then, we weren't really talking about the level at which black women were trying to date out, right? So back in 2019, you know, only person that was really going hard on that was David Carroll and Brian Solange. It was really limited, the people that were really talking about that. But in a 2-year span, so much data came out from these online dating apps. So many black women got caught out there on video, you know, doing the slumming thing with the white man and Asians and all that. And now these guys still haven't figured out these bitches ain't sitting around worried about these cats, man. You peacocking for a shrinking supply of women who are more and more making it known. You got women saying that you're a dusty, even if you make 100K, even if you have a degree from Harvard, even if you work for the Department of Defense STEM team, they don't care. What it means is that they've put you as a black man in the same position that their white daddy has told them to put you in. And these dudes are peacocking to a dying number of black women. Those black women are making themselves available to non-black men in 2021. This is a dead conversation.
Yeah. Yo, what's going on? Zero. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up with y'all?
Yeah,
no problem. Thanks.
What's good, Zero?
What's up, Black Girl? Not much. I just wanted to basically outline something. So I don't think there's a problem with the manosphere itself. It's the people. I mean, like you've been talking about, but one of the big problems is that the history keeps getting revised. The manosphere did not start with YouTube. That's one of the biggest problems. People keep trying to revise it and do it again. They keep parroting the shit over and over and over, but it didn't start at YouTube. It started a long time ago. Also, blackifying it is a big problem because that's how things got bastardized. But and it was on purpose. Like once you start to, you know, blackify or niggify everything, you get to make up different rules. You get to make up different standards. You get to do whatever you want to do. And again, one of the problems is the history is revised, and the people that are here now, nobody asked them to come. It was like when I was talking about before, they'll come through and be like, what you smart niggas doing over here? What are y'all doing over here? What are y'all talking about? And then insert themselves into the conversation on some we're on the same team shit, but then revert back to what they really wanted to do, which was, you know, talk about chicks. And then at the same time tell you that they're trying to help you realize that even though when the manosphere started or when things first got off the ground, it was never about that conversation. The conversation was literally about how to resolve the feminism issue. I mean, literally that's what it was about. And again, all of this stuff is recorded and all you gotta do is look, but you know, people ain't got time for that. And I get it. So all that happened is you got a bunch of people in here right now that are rewriting history. And that's the problem. Everything that's all these conversations is just from people trying to rewrite the history. If you rewrite the history, you get to make up the rules. And that's really what they're trying to do. Rewrite history, make the rules, I win. It doesn't matter if the situation is bad in society. They don't care about that at all. None of that matters. If I get to rewrite this, I get to break the rules. It's just like anything else in society. You know, if I come through and I make my history the right history, then you know I win.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's. I'll tell you, you got some background. It's just that at this point, the whole point is to retcon the manosphere into a place where it's about game and not about dodging the actual results. Everybody's here to retcon the manosphere, just like you said. This is why these discussions are important, because all these people who just came here, they're new here. They're new to the conversation. They've been hovering over and watching the space for a while. They see how weak the space is, so now they think that it's a good time to walk in and change the actual outcome and the mission of the manosphere. Maurice, thank you for that $5 super chat. Black and Pilot Space people, women, the measuring stick. Yes, that's what they came in to do. And here's the other thing: the women haven't even chose on them in any significant way, but they keep acting like that's the case. I don't understand it.
Yeah. It's like a trend I've noticed. Like I think last year they was talking about the same thing, and it resets itself over and over again. And I'm starting noticing a pattern. And then you got the two new dudes that came in and try to create their own space, and I'm like, what the hell? I thought the manosphere was about a lot of things, not just the women, but talk about feminism, but productivity and how to be a proper man in society. Combating it. That's what the 1.0 was about. But 2.0, they done went to some so-called conscious community type shit. What I've noticed, like their talking points, I'm like, what the hell is going on?
This ain't no conscious community stuff, bro. Let's call it what it is. It's a
yeah, but it's similar though. But think about it 9 years ago. No, I'm just saying, like 9 years ago, I've heard the rhetoric before. They have the similar talking points with certain guys, and I've noticed a pattern. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm calling it what it is. Yeah, it's game, but still, it's the same concept.
Game. No. I didn't say game. I said a scheme. You gotta understand.
Yeah. I understand.
Once you understand the way a Ponzi scheme works, right?
Yeah.
That's when you can separate the real from the fake. It's not that hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Sir Abadayu, let's say I'm a dude that ain't never had a bad bitch in my life. Ain't never had a bitch ever in my life. But I have the power of this internet. And I can convince Abadayu that because he doesn't know my track record with women, because he doesn't know my track record in regular society, if I can at some point convince you that I'm that game nigga, that I'm the top of the sexual hierarchy, and you start to put your money in my bank account, let's say Abadayu says, yo, the Sigma game is the realest game out of all the 10,000 books in the library. This Sigma game shit, this is the magic bullet for game. And you go tell 10 other Abadayos, and those 10 other Abadayus start kicking me $100 a month. Now I can start to present myself in a better package. And now, let's say I get 100 Abadayus. Now I got 100 cats paying my bills and giving me credibility. Now I have successfully put myself in a situation where now I can use transactional sex, not game, but I'm going to use the transactional game to get those women, which is another form of prostitution, get the bag prostitution.
Yeah.
I have successfully convinced you that it was game, but actually it was just another form of transactional sex built on your dollar.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like they try to deny, what we're saying the whole time. And then I think 3.0, that it's like the future. We talk about the Black Brain Trust, like we try to separate ourselves, but Zero said it best. It doesn't matter, because every time we try to explain ourselves, it goes right back to this conversation. It's funny they picked this topic, and I'm like, okay, what are they talking about SYSBM for? But I thought they were supposed to talk about game. But I like how you use my name as a reference, like to explain what other individual will say, and then the next minute, they don't tell you the truth about game, but they just trying to trick another person. But but I like that reference.
But look, bro, here's the thing. When you go back, I put that stuff out there public, the 10 hours of us discussing this conversation back in August 2019, because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I took it down because the conversation was so buried that it was no reason to resurrect it, right? But the stuff is public for anyone that wants to go listen to those conversations. But my point is that this is just a reset, man. And it's an attempt, just think about it. Here we are in the middle of what may end up being the worst economic disaster in American history, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's talking about how to keep you locked into the Pavlovian dog plantation drone mentality. Right? Just think about it. No, I'm seriously though, bro.
Yeah.
Just think about that. The Pavlovian dog, where they keep shocking you until you finally just, even when they release you, you refuse to leave beyond that gate. because you just missed
Yep.
the shot. And that's what they're doing. So they see that, okay, when you look at the trends of passport issuance, right?
Right.
Since about 2000, I mean, it's just been going up, and it was like around 20, it kind of doubled. So I think it was at like 137 million before COVID,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that was half of what it was. I think in like it was like 80 million or something like that in the 80s, and it just doubled. So what happened? The technology caused many Americans to start to travel. Now, what they did during that time, before we clarified everything, they tried to say that passport and SYSBM was the same thing, which was a total smear campaign, and we destroyed these guys. SYSBM has never ever been based on Passport Bros, and Passport Bros was its own thing, and SYSBM was its own thing. Save Yourself Black Men, that was more of a umbrella term for black men choosing to be free. It wasn't go travel, not travel, be with a black woman, not be with a black woman. It was about find the best quality Stargate for you. That was the whole basis of that idea, and it continues to be the basis of that idea. Passport Bros was brothers that were saying that came from Yes Jonas and guys like that. His whole thing, these are guys that don't want American women at all. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand. Yeah.
They dedicated themselves to a life of working here in America to get their money. And he has a term for it. He would say because he was the first person I ever heard say he was like, I don't mess with American women. I work for like 6 months and then I travel as much as possible. So he would call it like the 6-3 plan, the 3-3 plan, basically work in America and go socialize overseas. That was what the Passport Bros were. They didn't want American women.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Some guys have always said they'll choose the best quality Stargate wherever they can find them, America, overseas, on Mars. And that was the difference. And we clarified. Yeah, I'm here.
Here's the thing. There's already tenets that already distinguishes SYSBM. It's just amazing how these idiots are already making narratives about it, even though the tenets are there, so they can't make narratives on SYSBM.
And that's why they put up those tenets. And I was someone that gave Bob Atunde a platform to put those out there. And then eventually, man, Bus Driver and him, they started to, build it on their own platforms. But the point was that to clarify where things were. But then we learned something. Bro, it doesn't matter how much you clarify. It doesn't matter how much logic you use. It doesn't matter how much facts you use. At the end of the day, you have guys that are in a slave mentality. And on one hand, they'll tell you how bad the sexual marketplace is amongst ABW. But then at the same time, when you say, okay, literally, the same person could be saying to you, man, these bras ain't nothing. They're so low value. They're treacherous and tacky. Avoid them. But they're talking because on one hand, let me extract these dollars from men's pockets that listen to this message. Then the moment that those dudes pick up them and say, you know what, this guy over here that I gave this $100 to is correct. I'm going to avoid these women. But in his real life, these dudes don't have that freedom to move. Now they're going to go and try to extract money from the female's pocket by telling them, yo, look at these dudes over here trying to flee the plantation. Look at these dudes flying. So he has extracted $100 here, $100 there. He has $200 in his pocket. And you are no better off having never listened to his message in the first place. So that's a scheme. Period.
Yeah.
It's a scheme.
What it is it's a retcon for people who don't know anything about the topics and subjects, because they're not going to go back and listen to 2-year-old content or information. They're just going to go with what's currently being said. And if there's no pushback, that becomes the actual argument. This is why you have to keep rehabbing the conversation, because like we just said, it is a propaganda war. Now, these people know that they're deliberately misunderstanding a concept that they clearly know what the answer is, but their actual idea is not the actual to move the conversation forward. It's to retcon the situation so that way they become the new gatekeepers and not the reality that's around them.
Exactly. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So basically,
I wish I would let a nigga with lower IQ than me, lower credentials than me, put a harness on me. You know where I'm from? They say it takes two. It takes two. And you know why my people's always told me that? When another man try to put a skirt on you, it takes two. You either let him or you give him that uppercut. A lot of these dudes, again, this is a class thing, right? So you're talking about men who have if you are a black man, trying to stop and harness another black man from moving with the story and the history that we have here, you are an enemy. And so these guys that come out here talking about this kumbaya stuff, this stuff, I said it before, and I'll say it again. Tribalism doesn't work like that. There's the umbrella tribe, then there's many tribes, and at times they're so opposed to each other. Like you might have like the Indian Mohawks, and then the Indian Sioux or something like that. They might both be described as Native Americans, but when you look at their track record of warring, there is no brotherhood because your values and your principles are just completely incompatible. And then when
what about the Iroquois in Boston? Those tribes, the Iroquois in Boston. What about them?
Well, I'm talking about the whole Native American community in America. I'm talking about like when you look at their history, they did not play around with each other. They fought themselves. What I'm saying to you is that what I've learned in this space after 2.5 years is that many of us are culturally incompatible as brothers. We have different principles, different values. There will be no brotherhood. And you got these guys that keep trying to force brothers into the same box with each other that don't want to be in the box. And I'll tell you, for me, it's free choice or slavery. So if you're on the side of slavery, there is no brotherhood with us. And I'm not one of these L7s. I'm not one of these L7s that's going to be out here running around looking for brotherhood. I'm a square. I grew up amongst 9 squares. So I got their principles, and they don't play that shit with niggas from the streets. See, that's the funny thing. They will come around squares and try to play that shit, but on the streets, these niggas are known for getting KO'd. They don't run up on
they get done in real bad.
But they think that this guy's a square, he's not gonna respond with aggression. No, I came from a background where when you have no choice but to fight, you are gonna fight. And when we talk about this free choice thing, it's either free choice or slavery. There is no brotherhood with niggas that want to be drones on a plantation. So stop it, bro. Just stop it.
Yeah, all right. Well, welcome to the panel. Our Soul Provider Speaks. What's going on?
What's going on, Soul?
Hey, man. What's up? What's up? Carl, Zero, Sigma, Sir. What's going on? MOT. So this shit's hilarious. And you're right. You know, new people are coming in, and because shit gets deleted or people will put their shit to Patreon, you know, people cannot backtrack to see what the talking points were of the previous year. So this whole travel shit, now apparently, you know, SYSBM is bad. I mean, this is a reset, like you guys have said. And, you know, the new people, they don't want to, or they can't find the other older panels. So I think it's a good idea, what someone already mentioned. Go ahead and just put that shit back on public for, if you have it, store it on your channel and just let niggas watch that shit. Hopefully they pay attention and want to listen to it. But this shit is funny as hell. Like I said, how are you going to promote you know, you're going to promote because basically the sisterhood's going to love this shit because you're enabling them. You tell us not to mess with these women, but then on the other side, when we find solutions, which is to open your options up, then you tell us that we should go back and stay in one area only and mess with them. Don't know how that works. I thought the goal was to have solutions, but obviously it's not. It's just to keep complaining.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know, and they try to keep you in this box or the hamster wheel. That's their whole goal. You know, they trying to make sure you don't succeed. Just like MOT said, they're trying to move the goalposts longer and trying to see who's going to compete and try to kill each other. That's their whole point. But they ain't even about brotherhood. So what are they talking about this brotherhood nonsense? I've been hearing that stuff since for decades.
But they can't move the goalposts if you stop playing the game.
Exactly.
Goalposts if you're playing basketball or if you're playing soccer. You see what it is? There's enough non-thinking brothers in these spaces that they can continue to make them think they're playing the same game. When brother says free choice, that's a whole different game. You can't move the goalposts because, again, I just said to you, bro, right before COVID, American State Department was issuing nearly 140 million passports. People are expanding their horizons every year, and it would have crossed 140 million if it was COVID. Do you understand the pent-up travel and social frustration that COVID has caused? We're going to see numbers of 175 million passports issued in 2022, brother. And they want you at a time when the whole world is expanding itself, at a time when migrants are surpassing Native American blacks. They don't want you to change a formula that has been proven generation after generation to not work. We need more black men traveling and seeing black people in running governments. We need more black men traveling and seeing Latin people running their countries and going through their struggles. We need to be traveling to see non-white people being administrators and power brokers, but they want you to keep the same scheme in place because they, as a 1%, can benefit off of. Because again, let's not lie. The internet is a treasure chest if you can find the right scheme. And these are guys that in real life, they have no track record, period. No credentials, no resume. But the internet has given them an ability to sell an idea, and maybe they can join that 1%. So while any guy that calls himself an educated man, and that is a square, and you let a motherfucker with a lower IQ than you, with less credentials than you, and less grind than you put a harness on you, well, nigga, you deserve that harness on your back, bitch.
The funny thing is that you don't want black men.
DJ Now, thanks for the $5 super chat Monday motivation. Yeah, man, it's just that, you know, like when I used to take like the 3 months off every single year, I used to have 400 or 500 people in here. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, we got to bring this back because we got to beat back this nonsense because there's a lot of younger people in here who think that those people are right for some reason because they're surrounded by losers, you know, and there are people out there who just don't tolerate that stuff that we got to let them know, not for the older people that's been here, because I don't think that the older people here have already taken a side privately, no matter what it is. But the newer people is what we have to reach. But go ahead, Sothra.
Yeah, I was saying that, you know, they're trying to tell men who are not compromised not to open their options, not to check out other cultures that will respect you more and more patriarchal cultures. But no, to stay here in feminism fantasy land and just deal with the German shepherds and deal with this matriarchal setting we have here. Just deal with them. Don't go and try other things to stay here. And then, you know, this whole, you know, paying for it or not. I mean, you're paying for it whether you like it or not, you know, direct or non-direct. So just pay in America only. Don't pay for these shepherds.
Yeah,
exactly. Pay the highest price for the lowest value. Pay the highest price for the lowest value. Just think about the insanity of making that argument to a free person. Pay the highest price for the lowest value. And then you say, well, how do you know it's low value? Because the same person trying to restrict you is the one saying that it's the lowest value. So you're telling me that this is the lowest value on the market, but you want me to pay the highest price for it. Whereas, and I'm not even a person that does the tricking thing. I'm never going to be pro tricking, but I'm pro freedom. So if you want to treat pussy like a commodity, and there are sellers on the market because of OnlyFans, we know this, then the question becomes, are you going to pay the lowest price for the highest value or the highest price for lowest value? A man that has a reasonable consumption will choose the highest value and the lowest price, period.
Yep, King Sigma, because you're getting a better squeeze from foreign, because their argument is that you're tricking on these foreign women. So they basically want you to trick on low caliber American women, because that's the American women's problem in their perspective. They don't care that you're tricking. They just care that you're not tricking on them.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it. That's who they're pandering the message. That's what I was saying earlier. That message is for those women. It's a seesaw, bro. I'm gonna go at these men, but then I'm gonna befriend the men. I'm gonna go at these women, then I'm gonna befriend the women, and I'm gonna keep this hamster wheel going as long as I possibly can to try to get that bag. But then again, it's the audience, bro. It's you get to a point where you start asking, if you're supporting that kind of rhetoric, you're not a critical thinker, brother. Because it doesn't take a person with a college degree to figure out when someone's playing you on a 3-card Molly thing. If you can't figure it out, so just stop calling yourself thinking men. That's all I'm asking. Stop calling yourself critical thinkers, period.
And another problem is that, you know, there may be people that, you know, they find those channels that are promoting this type of nonsense and they don't know where to get the pushback or the actual logical thinking side of it. So there could be people potentially getting influenced by them. Oh, well, okay, I'll just deal with these German shepherds. I'll just learn how to train these German shepherds and I'll be all right. I will never travel overseas because these guys said so. I mean, all right.
I'll ask you the question, Soul Provider. You someone that you do the blurred thing. So you know what I'm saying. It's the whole high school dynamic played over. There were two
Exactly right. Yeah.
kind of blurs in high school, right? There was the blur that was non-physical, and then there was the guys that I call like the Renaissance man blurs. These were the guys that were just as good at athletics as they were in academics, the student athletes type. They try to pick who they're gonna bully. They never bullied the student athlete guy ever. And these guys don't come to the dudes on the street. If a street dude comes out tomorrow, like let's just say some popular YouTube street dude comes out and he starts promoting, and I love going overseas, I'm doing my thing, they will jump on that bandwagon. They try to pick who they think is the weakest person in the room, but then they always pick the wrong person. That's the one thing I like about these guys. They always run up on the wrong person who KOs their ass. I ain't never had no love for no punks that run around trying to bully someone that they think is weaker. So that's what this is. We're talking about such a small percentage of Black men who have the vision and the ability and the interest in traveling. So they pick the smallest population with all these other things going on. Guys that ain't paying no attention to them. We're in two different classes, two different stratospheres, but they know who not. They won't run up on no one on their own community and do that. So what I call these dudes is what they are: internet thugs. And then they say, "Well, I'm a reformed Pookie." No, you're not. I got Pookies in my family that's done hard time, BMF boy type time. And they were at the top of their trade. When you look at these dudes that said that they were reformed Pookies and all this, these niggas was going to jail for having a bag of weed. You did 5 years in jail because you tried to sell a 10-pound bag of weed to a narc, and I'm supposed to submit to that. I'm supposed to salute you. Nigga, you don't get me salutation over here. You're not, no, I'm serious. I know dudes who they tried to steal a Snickers bar out the Arab store, and they did 12 months in jail. And they run around talking about, I'm a thug or I'm a reformed thug. Let me give you the 411 on prison. Let me give you the 411 again. Nigga, you ain't never made no money off of no keys. You ain't never buried no bodies. You a low level, dunk to dunk, lolly dolly type dude. But then you come onto YouTube and now you're the internet thug among squares. Hell no. Hell no.
So you saying they Nick hustling on here, man?
That's all.
Damn.
It's like, you know what? I'm not even gonna bring up the parchment stories of the dudes who came back, but let's move on.
Yeah.
You know, like these are the main dudes who are out here, are the typical dudes who are online talking all this. Like, okay, sex trafficking killed the pimp game. Okay, the pimp game wasn't like bequeathed onto squares who wanted to be pimps. So those squares. So the upper squares are calling other people's, like it was never meant for that to happen. The subculture was meant to die. That's the deal. And it's like we wasn't supposed to pick up this fossilized piece of black. Wait, man, somebody got some background. Sir Obadiah. Yeah. Like, so it's like nobody was meant to pick up this piece of fossilized Black American nonsense to come out and resell it to other people that they know are not equipped to actually handle the experience. It's kind of like trying to get people to drink from a fire hose when they know they could go to a water fountain if they wanted water. If you try to drink from a fire hose, you obviously are not drinking water for the water's sake. You're putting on a show for somebody to get them in a situation that you know that they're not easily going to get out of. And that's a problem, man, because this stuff is happening everywhere. I had these dudes when I was growing up, but there was older people in the community like, don't listen to that dude. Look at where he's at. He's 3 times your age. Think about what that is. You go back down there now, they're still down there. The only thing that happened that these dudes just got internet connections through basic level phones. And now they're online lying about the same stuff that they used to lie about in front of corner stores and people didn't believe them. That's all it is.
And this goes to Marco. Shout out to Marco Grande. You know, his they're all holes. I mean, what the fuck does it matter? Like, you know, these women are jumping on fruits and dicks and all types of shit. They don't really give a fuck about each other. And why do we still give a shit about where the hole's from? If it's overseas or over here or Canada, who the fuck cares? I mean, why do we still care?
They care because they can't go to Canada. See, that's what you see. You just said, well, why, if this black man is going to Canada, you just missed the point. Do you understand how hard it is to get into Canada with a criminal record of any, they don't want no criminals there.
As any country.
Yeah, it's a lot of countries that will bar you from coming with a criminal record. So these dudes see black men, because again, this is where that relative deprivation thing kicks in. You're driving down the street and you riding a hoopty. You see a black dude in like a Lambo. The hater type of dude would be like, man, what, I bet you that dude just sold a pound, or I bet you he stole that car. But a white dude to drive right past the same car, they'd just be like, that's a nice ass car. See what I'm saying? Because when you're in a tank with a group of people, you know what I'm saying? You're in this barrel with a group of people. You're comparing yourself to the closest person in proximity to you. So if it's a black man and you see him reaching for the stars in terms of social mobility, that builds an insecurity within you if you're a hater type. But if it's a white dude doing it or an Asian dude, you don't even blink an eye. You actually salute and praise him for his ability to climb the social ladder in America. So when these dudes see you saying, yo, I'm going to Toronto for Caravana, you know what I'm saying? I'm going out there to the Trinity Festival, whatever, that stings and cuts deeper. Because when they look in the mirror, they see someone like them. When they look at the social, group that they come from, they know you were at the same high school as them. You lived in the same neighborhood as them. And they know that by deduction, somewhere along the line, they made a mistake that you did not make. And that's what burns them the deepest. That's why it burns them.
And that's why they jealous too. They jealous of guys that are successful and the ones that don't have a bad track record. But someone had that because that Omega, yeah. That's what they do, man. And they come online and think they're the biggest, baddest dudes on the internet, but it's a facade, man. It's just like what these fake rappers do, like anything else. But then you find out they grew up in the suburbs, man. And it's real sad because, see, I grew up almost like that and then grew up in the suburbs at 6. You know, I'm from Tennessee originally, and I see this shit all the time. So this is nothing new. And these guys are just the worst. And I got them in my family as well. And a lot of them are dead and gone and doing life and done disappeared, you know, because that generation is lost. So yeah, this is like a dime a dozen, you know, but you still got brothers are trying to be successful, you know, on here and offline. You know, they got real businesses and real trade, you know, in the military, the trucking and all that stuff, basic blue collar jobs or white collar or whatever. So yeah, it's a little jealousy and division amongst men.
You know, little jealousy.
I ain't saying jealousy. I'm just saying they try to make it as,
no,
but
it's
you know,
a lot
in a
of
level.
It's a lot of jealousy is what I'm saying to you, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. I just said it. This is a conversation that we talked about ad nauseum in summer 2019. Bro, I just alone on my channel got 10 hours of this discussion with panels. So this ain't a little jealousy, bro. This is outright fratricide.
Right.
This is outright genocidal thinking. These are men that would rather see you dead than see you happy and free. So ain't no little jealousy. This is pure hater. Belly would have to make another movie with that scene with Homeboy from Menace to Society. They couldn't even put it in. They would have to put that movie on like a blacklist to try to like show it in an artistic way, the level of hatred that some black men have against other black men. That's fratricide, bro. Fuck that. It's a little jealousy. We're talking fratricide, genocidal thinking.
All right. Welcome to the panel. Omega Male Revelations. Never seen you around here. What's going on, man? Hello. You only got a couple seconds. If you can't talk, I'm gonna have to get you off here. We're gonna continue the conversation without you. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Continue the conversation. You have to learn that from MGTOW Dictionary because I've seen what was going on his stuff. You get people who come up and they want to play porn and all that kind of other stuff. They want to come on your panel. But go ahead.
Well, when we did the panel with, I know MOT was there, Baba Tune. It was a lot of people there. I issued a challenge, and that's why I took the videos down eventually. I said, for all you brothers that claim to be child abuse advocates, right? And you claim to be female advocates for domestic, all this. I showed them a list of every state at that time, showing the level of sex offenders. At the time, there were about 1 million registered sex offenders in the United States of America, right? This was a challenge I issued. I said to everyone who wants to dick police these free men, I want you to turn your channel, at least a few of your uploads, to list the sexual offenders in your city, in your state. Here we are, 16 months later or whatnot. Who has done so far? Who has gone on their channel, live stream them going through the sexual offender registry in their own city? They don't got to look at the whole country, but in their own city and state, to advocate and to do a public service announcement about the sex offenders in their own city. I haven't heard of anyone doing it, even 18 months later or whatnot. So what does that tell you? This is about clout. This is about clicks. And if no one came to listen to it, they wouldn't show up. But again, it's an easy formula. Pander to black men when it's convenient. Pander to black women when it's convenient. Turn heel when it's convenient, and keep cashing in. So the fool is the one that's allowing the dollar to be extracted from their party. Again, I'll issue the challenge again. For anyone who claims that they're an advocate for any kind of sexual abuse, perversions being happened, and I am one of those advocates, and I actually did something about it. I did an upload called The Hidden Hand of Sex Trafficking. I haven't seen no one match that yet. Show me any of these content creators that will go through this sex registry for their city alone, their state alone, and they'll spend 3 hours going through naming all. It's all public information. Name the people, where they live, and do your goodwill and be a good Samaritan. They still haven't done it.
Hello,
All
gentlemen.
right, all right, Meg, you got the stuff ready?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Hey, not much. How y'all guys doing?
Good.
So anyway, I was just doing some errands today, so I looked and I see MOT was on, so I said, let me just listen to what's going on, and I seen SYSBF. So then I started listening to the conversation, and I've been around the place for a while, and I think King Sigma said it like every couple years is a rotation of how they want to come after SYSBM. So then I did my little search on these YouTube streets to see what's going on in the manosphere, and lo and behold, there's currently a live going on right now. So I chimed into the live just to listen to what they were talking about. Not mention any names. You guys know who's going live right now.
Yeah. Please don't.
And I'm like, are we doing this again? I feel like with Kevin Samuels on the scene, and this usually happens when a lot of brothers they ran out of what talking points about women. They got nothing else to talk about. So they bring it back to, the educated lane versus Pookie, and now they're talking about SYSBM brothers because, Kevin Samuels basically took away the whole market. So now there's nothing really to talk about. So now these brothers are trying to come after the SYSBM brother. So now my issue with that is I am a SYSBM. I travel. I got a trip going with a couple guys from work traveling to DR, and they're making it seem like it's all just about pussy. Excuse my language, all just about ass and, having sex. But the issue with that is that when I went out to these places like DR and Colombia and places like that, and this was in my mid-20s, a brother showed me around a building he bought, an older gentleman, and he bought a building. He was converted the first floor into a laundromat and the second floor up into a Airbnb. I actually seen the work being done. And then you have multiple brothers. Another brother had a restaurant and he owned a hotel. Then you had a lot of brothers who had businesses out there. So they're just making it seem like these guys are just going out there on some sex tourism where guys are actually establishing businesses. These are guys, older gentlemen, retired guys, even younger guys in their 30s and 20s who just up and leave. And a lot of them you don't see because they don't really promote. Now you might see it because you see guys on YouTube with these travel vlogs. But before that, I'm talking about before like 2018, there was a multitude of black men going in SYSBM. And we already know about Brazil, but there's a multitude of black men who actually go in SYSBM that you never hear of. But these type of guys who really can't go SYSBM because due to factors that's keeping them here in the United States and monetary factors, they just want to come after the brothers who actually can do it. So there is a sort of jealousy that I see, and that's all I gotta say.
It is, and you have to realize that if if people are not conscious about what's happening, they'll think the loudest voice in the room is actually what's prevalent in the environment. Like most of these people who are talking about those type of things, they would never talk about the history of what it was before they actually came on and actually started talking about it. It's always about the conversation of now without the history of what they're talking about, because they're trying to push a certain narrative on people versus just trying to move the actual thing forward, because they're never going to come to an actual conversation where they actually get to have concrete solutions. Because the first question I would ask is, what is it any of your business what another man does with his time? The second thing is, what have you done to enact the same restrictions on the women within the environment? And if you come out of your mouth that way you can't control the women, then the conversation's over. If you only want to place restrictions on one gender over the other, you have already sided with that gender, no matter whether it's men or women. I am for both sides to be as free as they want to, because guess what? Men have to work for their options. Women typically don't have to work for their options. So if the men become more productive, which they should be anyway, and they decide to keep it away from people who never respected them, it's still a win-win for everybody within the culture itself.
Well, backing up what you just said, MOT, let's think about it from this standpoint. Okay, there has been an effort, a collective effort by mainstream institutions to promote Black women traveling. So we talked about Stella Got Her Groove Back, but then what about that movie with Jada Pinkett Smith that ended up being her real life, Hoe Trip or Girls Trip? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
So now think about that. Did you notice how that movie came just about 20 years after Stella Got Her Groove Back?
Yes.
So what is that telling you? Do you see that's the game? They're going to make sure that they keep that little cycle going where they're going to keep promoting Black women traveling, being sexually free, being culturally free or whatever. No one says anything. I don't see any talk about this, but you get a handful of Black men that say, okay, so I think it was like 10% of Black women and 5% of Black women, the last numbers, don't quote me on that, but it was something like that where it was double Black women having passports to men. And there's these dick police cats that sit back and like, they look at that number every year. Wait, yo, that number's starting to creep up. What is these Black men? Is 6% now? And it's, it's looking more like 7%. Nah, we got to stop that. We got to stop that. The cleanup man got a passport. We got to stop that. And that's the game that they've been running with Hollywood, with these academic institutions backing them. Everybody's supposed to bow down to gynocratic politics. That's correct. What this shit is about.
And another thing that they don't get is that you can just simply ask them, where's your movie review for Girls Trip?
Well,
yeah, where's your movie review for that? And it's like, you know what? We're not going to talk about nothing else until you do a movie review of that. I want you to do a movie review of Superfly. I want you to do a movie review of that. And then we can have a conversation after any of that, because that's just what we are. I mean, these dudes are trying to retcon the entire thing. And that's what they're here to do. Like, they attach themselves to a place of progress to try to turn it into a place of female worship, when they can't even prove that they're out here doing the actual stuff that they claim that they want other people to do. That's typically the problem that's going on here.
I think you discussed that, like, was it 2 nights ago or is it around All-Star Weekend? Not last night, but yeah, I think Saturday y'all talk about something similar about productivity. And they, like someone mentioned, when you already have it built, they want to try to tear it down. And that's exactly what they're trying to do right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, but this is where we are. And it's not that's anywhere different. It's just that you have to get the conversation going in the opposite direction of what they're saying, because they're saying it around a group of people that's new to the space. So since they're in the quote unquote manosphere and they keep using the name manosphere while they're doing all this dumb ass stuff that has nothing to do with the manosphere at all, they become the voices of the manosphere, because they think the manosphere is this because they only been here for a specific period of time. Think about how many people in this chat or in this space who didn't even hear this level of the conversation, but they came here through other people who wasn't even talking about actually trying to progress as a person rather than trying to get everybody to survive as a culture. Now, once you shift the argument toward personal movement rather than cultural benefit, everybody wins from the actual level that a person starts from the bottom to the top. But if you go from the top to the bottom, you're already trying to repair a system that you didn't build.
Right.
Well, hold on a second. Let me get to the super chat. Pablo Frescobar, let's not let them shame us for having pleasure either. Sex is some all of us want. There is no shame in that. But here's the thing, man. And this is how I won, and I kept winning. Once I got to something that's minimal and basic, like sex, without child support or having to hear that mouth or attitude and all that stuff, I didn't have to pretend that I had game. The woman was interested in me, that I was interested in her. And it wasn't all based on all of these other fallacies that they try to throw into the conversation. Once you get there and once you stay there and don't go back to the old system, you're pretty much good. And you can focus all your time on being productive rather than being chose by somebody. You can spend all your time trying to be valuable to the actual environment as a commodity rather than restricting yourself to being a commodity to one subsegment of people who overall don't give a damn about you. Period.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Pablo said. I mean, that's why I said you guys keep saying that these are men. These are not men. These are males with the psyche of their black mother. That's why you're so surprised.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You got dudes shaming a brother's ability to go have sex with any woman he wants, whether it be at the club downtown, whether it be in a state over or another country. That's something I would only expect from a black female. So what I'm saying is that these guys may very well be males, but their psyche is completely indoctrinated and engineered by black women. They think like black women. That's why, if you think about it, for probably the last 6-7 months, you don't really see black women saying much these days. They don't have
No, you don't. They have a whole army fighting for them.
Yes. They got a whole drone army out here, bro. A whole drone army out here doing all, and that's why I say the free thinking black man, the free moving black man is literally like the Spartans at Thermopylae, dude. If you play that game, oh, I'm gonna protect the hot gates of the plantation, you're going to be annihilated. You're fighting for a lost cause built on a system with no principles and no investment outcomes for you. Only death and servitude. And that's what cracks me up. These people really got like a little drone army.
Hey, King Sigma, they're running into a burning house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a burning plantation, and they see you trying to, get on your Frederick Douglass tip, and they like, nah, man. Yo, you gotta die with us. You gotta be either you gonna be a slave with us or you're gonna die. That's their mentality. I don't know why cats keep on trying to debate these dudes or trying to put logic on it. The only thing that makes sense is either dollars or they're legitimate drones. But I think a lot of cats that play into it are just trying to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, man. Like they keep trying to make it look like we have to be friends with, or man, somebody got some background noise. I know it's not zero, but thank for the $4.99 super chat workout with Wayne. Props to the panel, keep the great conversations going. Yeah, so what you have to understand is that if you don't have a bulwark against nonsense, nonsense will be what the space is actually based on at some point. And there's going to be a lot of people who push this, well, we all should get along. There should be one big happy family. No, there shouldn't be one big happy family because we all don't have the same values. We don't have the same values. We don't have the same inputs. We don't have the same ideas of success. And yes, we should be separated. And here's the thing. Those people who are over there listening to certain types of conversations, dude, they're already together. They're already together. So you can't make people any more together than where they choose to put their ear and their dollar to. That's a point of being together, is being in those type of environments. So that's where I'm at with it. And my system protects everybody, the decent man and the decent woman. You know what? If she want to come here with her stuff together and want one of these decent brothers who actually have his stuff together, want to have a future without all this nonsense, yeah, that option is open. But guess what? I want men to have a greater option so that way it brings them back to the table in a way that they're not expecting. The way that they're not expecting is you're not going to get a shot, you're not going to get a chance unless you climb through the pits of hell to get to this damn dude who is minimally productive, which is something that's never been culturally respected.
Have you noticed that, like, no matter what the movement is, no matter what the attempt to change the ideology or principles are within the black majority, somehow it always gets hijacked by the female imperative? Because when you look at the civil rights movement, that was something that had a masculine front, at least, and it was for the benefit of the whole black majority. But now in 2021, it's controlled by the gynocratic order. When you look at affirmative action, that was something headed by the masculine imperative, but now that's controlled by the gynocratic order. And now when you look at these spaces on the internet, who I don't use the term red pill, but other guys do. So I'll just say red pill spaces. Slowly, we'll look up a year or two from now, and that ideology will become the purple pill or the pink pill, and it will also be under the rule of the gynocratic order because of the dollar. And that's the same thing with every attempt to change the structural arrangements and the social order within the plantation. It always ends up somehow getting hijacked by the gynocratic order eventually. So this is not something that should be unexpected at this point.
Correct. At this point, it's based on what Deceit 2008 with the $5 which I said. Black men will travel to Kappa Beach, Freaknik, All-Star Weekend events to smash women, but Brazil, Dominican Republic, and Colombia is off limits. This is what I'm saying. It's like, as long as you do it within the environment to where their self-esteem is actually protected, it's okay. If you do it for yourself without the benefit of nobody around, it's not okay. I'm just telling people straight up that, hey, man, we're not playing these type of games with these type of people. They need to be all over there on one side. My actual deal is not separate or divide and conquer. My actual premise is unite and ignore. Unite them on one side and then ignore them. Correct their actual things that they're actually misrepresenting and just keep it moving. Let the people actually deal with the better arguments on either side. That's what I'm at with it right now.
How many of these cats that talk this sex offender crap that they try to put on Free Moving Brothers, how many of these guys don't call out the sex offenders that they go to happy hour with? It's cats that will
They ain't going to.
They will have the nerves to talk about it. Just a random person of my numbers, I meant to say 20 million earlier, but these 20 million travelers out of the United States, because they're just an amorphous block. It's supposed to be like a symbol to attack, but it's no individual person, right? They say traveling brothers, which is millions of black men with total different micro identities and experiences. But isn't it funny? In their own micro universe, they're actually buddies with sex offenders. They actually are probably the sons of sex offenders. And they probably, the same day that they made the comments that they made in the public, they might have just went and had happy hour with sex offenders. But they won't call out the sex offenders in their own vicinity because they're afraid of them. That sex offender will put that boot to ass real fast. But they will call out an amorphous block. They won't attack any individual traveler because that would be libel, slander, or defamation. But they will attack the idea of freedom. But they won't attack in their own vicinity, in their own environment, the sex offenders preying on their daughters, preying on their mothers, preying on their baby mamas. That's why the black women keep coming on here telling squares, why won't you protect me?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Right there. You just said it right there.
The weak sauce that you had a child with condones those sex offenders and approves of them. That's why you're not protected. Stop coming to the squares, who are the most hated black men in the world, and asking for protection or provision. Go talk to the weak sauce that you spread your legs for and you replicate it. But nah, he's up there hugged up at happy hour with the sex offender that he's calling out online. Stop it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but here's the other thing that people don't get. Is that the enemy now, and I mean outright enemy, is the people who want people to come together. The enemy now is the people who want non-productive and productive people alike to come together. That's the enemy now. It's the enemy now is the people who is talking about community when there's no actual track record of brotherhood or sisterhood between, well, there is a sisterhood between each other. That's what the enemy is now. Like most people who want all this togetherness at this point in time want to hide the issue so that way they can move up the ranks of trying to slyly play one side against the other while acting like they're not doing so. What's going on, Game Changer?
Yo, I vote we stop giving these niggas power. It's like the way King Sigma using the word square. Square means not a pimp, not a hoe. Don't give these niggas breathing room. Stop letting them niggas misuse, abuse, and rewrite shit and all that. If you a square, they a square. None of these niggas are pimps. And if they not pimps and they claiming that they not a square, they must be hoes. So stop giving these niggas power. And it really is giving these niggas power because it gives them breathing room to get away with fuck shit. It's a shit test. It's the same thing that bitches do. If I get away with this little thing, then I can keep going and get away with more shit. That's what they do. That's how the whole educated lame shit became a term. You don't let them niggas get away with shit like that at all. You don't accept them terms. You don't let them bastardize terms. Just fuck them niggas. That's the first thing you gotta think. Fuck them niggas, like right away as soon as the conversation starts. The thing is, it's a dual-sided conversation because it's disingenuous to think that societies can function without women with all this fucking macho man self-aggrandization. It's disingenuous because in order to have a society, you talk in relationships. But the thing is, there's a simple nuance to it. There's power and then there's no power. I mean, it's really that simple. Laws and culture, societal maintenance via families and communities, all that shit forms societies. The people who are invested in that maintenance of society, they invested in the functionality of the society, which is why families and shit become important. Then you get invested in stuff that maintains the most functional parts of it. If you're not invested in a society in that way, if you invested in the fuck shit, then you only gonna be invested in like personal shit, nothing else. Like the dysfunction of it, where personal gratification becomes a thing. Like the bitch acquisition squad, the clout niggas, the perceived value through intangibles that don't benefit the whole society, but they benefit like an individual on some me shit. And then it got the effect of drawing in other fuck nigga advocates because they want to have that same path of least resistance for the least effectiveness, on that and most of them from the bitch acquisition squadron. That's where they from. They got all of the bitch acquisition methods and hardhead bitch management. These are game niggas. So we talk about this shit in the first order of business on the internet a long time ago when people had to write it out. And notice when Manosphere first started, when people were writing things out in paragraphs, the fuck nigga squad wasn't around.
Nope.
Because reading and writing is a chore. So niggas wasn't there. They didn't come until the audio visual shit happened on Yahoo a long time ago when Yahoo added spades and dominoes to their games and shit. That's when them niggas showed up because they didn't like to write. So that's when them niggas came around, because when the conversations first started getting off the ground, it was all about how to resolve societal issues, on a large scale, particularly feminism. And then the comfortable slaves came in and sabotaged after the audio visual shit came. Because if you renew a society or go into a more focused society, the fuck niggas are gonna die off. I mean, literally die off. It's not even like being hyperbolic to say they're gonna die off. They're gonna die off. I mean, people who like want production, and even bitches want production. I mean, to be honest with you, this is why hypergamy is a thing. Chicks are seeking production. That's literally what that is. But societies require cooperation from people outside yourself to operate, and that requires responsibility to each other and for each other. And you can't have a society without it, because this is the way biology works and this is the way socioeconomics work. And the fuck nigga squadron cannot do either of those things and this is why we have what we have. So stop giving these niggas power. It's just don't let these niggas take anything. Like, don't give them no fucking room. Don't treat them. You know what? Treat them like a bitch, but treat them the same way. Like when bitches try to shit test you and then you pass the shit test, do the same thing. Don't give them no room. You know, if you a square, they a square. If they're not a pimp, and if they're not a pimp, they must be hoes, and then treat them like hoes.
No, that's
Yeah,
the way
right.
I look at it, though, because that's how I look at them. I just look at them as females, you know, that like for real. Their rhetoric, again, this space has been overtaken by female rhetoric.
That's what it is.
It's female.
That's what it
rhetoric.
is.
These
Yeah,
women
yeah.
are sitting back. They out here doing the pink pill thing. They out here chasing after Brad, and they sitting back drinking pina coladas, laughing at these peacocks, bro, on the plantation. They're laughing, bro.
Yep.
They don't got to do no work. They on
Yeah.
vacation.
Because
I
they're
wish
doing
I had a
the
peacock
they're already
noise.
weaponizing it with the talking points.
And
They put a battery in the back of these dudes, and now they got all their talking points spewing that shit in the space that was supposed to be an anti-misandry space. That's what I've always thought it was. Anti-misandry.
James Hudson, that for the file super chat. The same black men, shaming traveling brothers had nothing to say when Jamarna Man traveled from Seattle to North Carolina to get pregnant and produce a child, pretty much. Yeah, none of these dudes say nothing about that situation. What was that, a year, 2 years ago? Like, nobody really said anything, you know, and because it's for the women to have the maximum amount of choice and for the men to have the minimum amount of choice. So it's kind of like, you know, like they set up like a peacock, like dog race thing on the actual track of the gynocracy when nobody's betting. Nobody's betting, but they just set up their own little dog track where they just run across the actual gynocracy with the talking points kind of on their head and see who crosses the finish line first. Like, this is what you got with these people here. But you got to be able to keep having these conversations because they want to have peace and to still give a knife in the actual backside of the space that they're attaching themselves to. There should be no place for game dudes, unreformed idiots, people who talking about all time. Why are you in the manosphere? How come you didn't go create your own sphere? Why are you here?
You know,
need my help. What y'all over here talking about?
you know, Zero's actually right. You know, because you can give them power. They give them power by the views.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. So if you listen to these niggas' rhetoric for the last, I don't know, decade, it is literally hard-headed bitch management. Which, if you have power, isn't a problem. That was like the first order of business is to get your power. That's why people always say get your shit together. But their rhetoric, literally, and I mean, you can fucking rewind streams as easy as like an hour ago, or last night, or yesterday, or last week. Doesn't matter when the fuck you watch one of the streams. It's always gonna be hard-headed bitch management. And again, if you got your power together, you don't have to worry about hard-headed bitch management. That's easy. Like this shit crazy. You're gonna have a problem with a woman at some point. Yes. If I'm you, nigga, yes. The fuck?
And Zero, this is the thing with giving them too much power, because even when you mentioned it with the whole interpretation instead of understanding, because if you give them too much power, they get to bastardize the crap out of everything and then get to make their own narratives out of it. And then, like you said before, treat them like bitches. And thanks for having me on the panel. Gotta go.
All right, cool.
You know what that reminds me of? I know most people have seen that movie 300, and the character that really stood out in my mind was a field tease. And I just commented to Grinch on that. Remember how a field tease, like he just wanted to be a Spartan so bad?
Yeah.
And in their culture, he was supposed to be discarded like the other, undesirable fetuses and children. But his mother and his father loved him so much, and they taught him all about, being in the Legion. And he had the shield because his pops was a Spartan. He had the sword. He had the skills, but he had the one missing factor. He could not raise that damn shield, and that was required. So Leonidas told him, he was like, "Well, you know what? We have a code here. We have a standard. You can't meet the standard, but you are a part of the team. But you have to pick up the dead and help us bury the dead." And he was like, "Nah, fuck that." and he
joined the other side, didn't he? With the Xerxes. You talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, he betrayed them. He went to Xerxes, but remember,
Yeah, that's a damn shame. But yeah,
but remember, he got his butter biscuits though. So it wasn't like he left and he betrayed them he was seduced by materialism and a false status. So when they brought out the little broad, like the Jezebels, did you see it feel to you?
Yeah, I see that.
They started rubbing on his hunchback. They started rubbing on his hunchback. And that BEI got big, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
They gave him the little Persian cloak and the Persian and he started snitching and snitching. He became like the biggest drone of the Persian army when them Jezebels got to rubbing on that hunchback. They gave him some jewels. Xerxes had him feeling like a real man for the first time, and he was willing to betray his own home country where he came from for the feelings. And at the end, when he saw the dead bodies of those Spartans, he felt a level of shame and guilt that could not be covered by no amount of jewels and no amount of status. And that's what I'm saying. These guys, it's like an unlimited army of fealties where there's a deep insecurity there. And they're seduced by the opulence, apparent opulence that's hiding the rotten apple of the plantation. Because, you get a lot of love. When you fall into the crowd and when you fall into the herd, that's a safe space, bro. That's a safe space. I wish if I would have became a criminal, I had people in my own family that would have been very proud of me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. They actually wanted me to get on some shit like that. But I became the white sheep in my own family, said nah, because I saw that, the reward is great, but the risk is even greater because I saw people I love have their life destroyed by the street game. So I said, I'm not going down that road. But believe me, the seduction is there. And a lot of these cats, they're seduced by that shit because, again, in the inside, there's an affinities there. For whatever reason, it's there. And the whole guy, go ahead, you got it, MOT.
Yeah, but they're being seduced by that power, to be quite honest with you. Because it's not real power. Like, this is why you don't need to have any presentation that you actually get the women that you actually speak for. There is no proof required. The only thing that truly counts as proof is the fact that you're putting in the work to protect their power within the environment. That's it. Like, the only thing these dudes are doing is to protect her power and her opinion. That's it. Nothing else.
And that's why the Spartans threw ugly babies into pits, because they didn't want a motherfucking Philties to grow up and do what he did. You throw fuck niggas in the pit while they still babies.
Facts.
And when I saw the beginning of the movie, if you watch 300, they showed you if the child looked disfigured or anything, they just throw him in the pit. But if he was perfect, they would have kept him. And then they show you how to raise a boy. When he was like 8, show Leonidas. Yeah, that's a good analogy y'all use right there. But they didn't want that. That's how it was back in the day, though.
Yeah, but this is why ever since the beginning. Who remembers Karen Strawn when she first came into the Manosphere? Like, I don't know, almost 20 fucking years ago. The Manosphere used to be about the message. Yeah. It was about the message. So the reason men engaged with her even a long time ago, because a long time ago people would tell you that men were all like fucking like hermit neckbeard motherfuckers who was mad at bitches, and that wasn't the case. Not even close. When the Manosphere first started a long time ago, and I mean again. Late 90s shit, when the internet was still a baby. When women were in the space, nothing mattered but the message. So women were engaging. The thing is, women brings bitch niggas right to the forefront. Like they take the mask off of bitch niggas so you don't get Caesared. This is why when I first even started making content, the first thing I said was, no, why get rid of chicks? Because they're the ones who are going to expose all the bitch niggas. You leave them there. Leave them around. Yeah. Because you need to know where the fucking Judases are. You have to. You need to know where all the fucking fealties are. So you just have chicks show up and them niggas go into Hiyuk mode and then it's over. This is all you got to do. It's the easiest fucking thing to do.
That Persian WAP had that boy fealties.
Yes, I saw that. I was like, wow.
Remember how these was like the most seductive, freakiest bras, man. They would make Cardi B, blush. And when the fealties, I just remember them rubbing that hump though, bro. Like
avatars have the same effect.
It was too much. It was like
avatars have the same effect.
Off with his head. He
Yo,
wanted
yeah.
to
yeah,
get
I gotta go,
his
but
head.
thanks for having me, bro.
All right, cool. All right,
All
so
Peace off.
Peace.
But the thing is, avatars have the same effect in the manosphere. You just have them come in. It's the same effect. Niggas get their humps rubbed, and then you know then you just see all the bitch niggas. It's real easy. Like when you got niggas online claiming pimp and then break out in tears under indoor sunglasses, you know that shit is falling down.
That's a shot. Yeah.
You know.
Oh man.
I mean, first of all, indoor sunglasses,
Yeah.
and then crying underneath them shits.
Nah, that OnlyFans phenomenon is real, Zero. That shit, like if I didn't think it was real before, after seeing brothers' reaction in this space to the possibility of femininity, I'm sold. OnlyFans,
Yeah.
legitimate that we are in the era of OnlyFans. I was looking at something on Twitter where there was a broad that like she had went down to Atlanta for the All-Star Weekend Thought Fest, and I guess I don't know if she's lied about being stuck, but either she lied or whatever. She put up a little GoFundMe saying that she needed $1,400 to get back to New York. Now, in a world with standards, they'd be like, yo, you're going to have to hump your way out of Atlanta. That's on you. You got your way down there to Atlanta. It didn't work out. You on your own. She didn't have no problem. A whole army of simps sent her that $1,400. It was quick.
Not surprised. Not surprised. Yeah.
So what are you doing? That's like, bro, what I'm trying to say is that you're so outnumbered. If you play that game, again, they're going to keep moving the goalposts. You got to stop playing that game and create, like, go play another game. Just that simple. You're not going to win, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, what's going on, Agon? What's going on, man?
What up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What's up, man? Good discussion, y'all. I think it's crazy how basically guys really tried to conflate basically a dude spending a whole bunch of money on an outfit to get attention from chicks over here to basically somebody saving up their money to deal with a better pool of women in a different country. That's crazy. That's nonsense. You know, like why wouldn't you want to do that? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
better people.
Yeah, but to these dudes, you're supposed to compete the way they want you to compete for a product who don't care about either one of our opinions. Like, none of these women are running out of men. They're not concerned. They're not concerned about their quote unquote help. They don't give a damn about that. They never have. But these dudes come out here because it's an easy way to get an audience is by picking up the woman's narrative and putting and trying to superimpose it on men as power over women. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, all that outfit is basically a beacon to show that basically that we got him. Like he down with it. Like basically the girls they really care about you. You dressing all peacocky and all the colors and $8,000 jeans, man. That don't mean anything.
Nigga, you just mad because you can't afford no Louis V shoes.
Yeah, man.
To actually, you gonna stand somewhere and pose, and then
get
a chick or something like that. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but this is what we are, man, because people had no real intentions on coming to this space other than to hollow it out and to turn it into a narrative to superimpose it on the life that they're not living. Like, how can you be out here, you have all this game, but you spend overnight talking about the women that you clearly ain't chasing? Like, I don't get that. If you're so good at them, you would be in a club somewhere around the actual women that you have all the access to. And guess what? That still won't matter. But it would be a hell of a lot more plausible than coming online slandering SYSBM and Passport Bros. Like, most of these people don't care about that, but we don't want the narrative to be out there so that way you can eventually try to harm the actual movement from the outside in. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to slander it and be like, so that way if you don't answer the slander on the one-to-one basis, that's what it is. This is why, you got some dude who's been in school for like 8 years for a PhD and people keep responding to him. I'm like, man, look, you cannot build a career off yellow journalism. So even responding to this dude is nothing. Leave him alone. Well, what's going on,
Exactly. What's up, Silent?
Yo, what's good? What's good? I actually just wanted to come up, my man. Well, first of all, salute MOT, salute, bro.
Yeah.
Life is good, man. Life is good. King Sigma, you made a statement earlier, and I wanted to make a confession this morning. I've never told anybody this, but since you brought it up, I do swear by Persian WAP. I do.
Yeah, I know about that Persian WAP too, bro. That's why I said if Felix, his eyes lit up. His eyes lit up, man. He was like, you know how brother be talking all that staying on code shit. He was like, man, forget my home training, forget the Spartan code. I'm diving into this Persian WAP.
Hey, real talk. And you know, a brother got to be on point because the thing about Persian WAP is they have fathers.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, let's just say Persian fathers don't play them type of games, bro.
Yeah.
They come from a place where people just disappear, man.
But the mom's not no joke either, Silent. Don't sleep on the moms and the aunties and the, you know.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, the mom is quiet, but she don't play.
Yeah.
I love it, bro. I've been dating Persian women for like about 3 years now, like, because that's, you know, in Dallas is, so, you know, I've never really ran across them like that before I moved to Dallas, but man, they're a different breed of women, man. They're just bred different, bro.
They are. And see, that's why I bring up the women, because like having engaged with a lot of immigrant women, one of the things that I noticed, man, is that the enforcement, the cultural enforcement definitely comes from the mothers, man. Because like their moms don't be playing, like they'll be checking them on like going out. Oh, you wearing that? You're not wearing that in my house. Go change. Or I'm talking about grown women, not no teenagers.
I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be here too. I mean, because in their cultures too, you know, even grown kids are still living at home, you know, well into their 20s. So, you know, it's not like America here where they're kicking kids out at 18, you know. So yeah, I mean, it's a big family structure, man, and they're just great. They're, you know, it's just shit we don't have here, man. You're just dealing with a different type of woman, bro. So, you know, it's not just the WAP, you know, it's also the flesh surrounding it and the mouth, you know, and everything else too, man. It's just great package.
And this is why the culture is handed down by the older people within it. I mean, we know what the older people handed down within this context. You know, they handed down an entire rat trap with the biggest piece of cheese on it. So that way you can walk over there and you end up, you know, getting your neck snapped off. But this is what's going on, man. Like, this is what's going to be the movement, because they have no other choice. They have to boost her narrative because they're not men. If they were men, they would support the men's narrative of choice. They're here to protect the woman's narrative of choice, not ours.
MOT, they're protecting themselves, bro. A lot of, like you guys were talking about, man, a lot of these cats are stuck, man. You know, the 90s were not that long ago. You got to remember, man, the world has changed. You got to remember, man, we came from a thug culture. A lot of people made decisions 10 or 15 years ago that now the world has moved on fast without them. But now they have the internet. So with the internet, you can be as international as you want to be from your Volvo. You feel me? So a lot of this shit is just, you know, it's just honestly just entertainment. Niggas trying to get clout. Niggas trying to build a brand by saying the most outrageous bullshit they can say, by being as contrary as possible. You know, people have too many agendas online. Niggas just can't come on here, play dominoes, and be honest, bro.
Viral Silent. That's what they are. Viral minstrels.
Everybody looking to get that next World Star clip or say that next snappy little fucking comeback. You know, ooh, you know, I bet you won't knock it off.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
80s babies understand that reference.
Yeah.
You know, this is just where we are, man. And they're going to continuously come out and keep doing this. And then you're going to have other people who tell us that we all got to get along. And then you're going to have other people who say, how come y'all just can't work together? Like I said,
those are the real enemies. Those are the real enemies right there.
Yeah, those are the real enemies who, because peace don't support everybody, obviously. And chaos don't support everybody, obviously. But they want to side with chaos by making you take a side and not make them take a side.
That is nothing but communal socialism.
Yeah, that's all it is, man.
Right.
But why shouldn't I be
mad? Ooh, communal socialism. Oh,
if someone stabs me, So I'm not supposed to be mad, and I'm supposed to befriend the man that tries to take my life. That's a very destructive mentality to try to push on another brother. I would never tell a brother who someone tried to take his life or to take his freedom, hey, just get over it, man. Just get over it, leave it in the past. No, there's a legitimate separation for valid reasons of principles. And I'm just shocked that we're having this conversation in 2020. This is unbelievable.
I'm not.
I'm not. It's normal.
I mean-
It's normal. Yeah.
I mean, you're always gonna have brothers like us, but I mean, there's always gonna be losers, man. Posing.
Yeah.
It's posing, man. That's all it is, man.
They try to
can be
keep you in
anything they
that
want.
trap. Yeah, they try to keep you in that trap. That's what they try to do. And what I do is try to
This conversation
ignore
is
them.
going to continue for the next 500,000 fucking years. For one reason is the niggas keep redefining things. It's like if they don't like something, they'll assume it and then redefine it. You ever hear motherfuckers talk and they say, they'll be like, you just like me. You gonna do this if this happens. You gonna do this. You feel the same way I do. Like that. That's why you gonna keep having a conversation because niggas gonna keep taking whatever you say and going, no, nigga. You think just like me. You just like me. We're just alike. You know, we're not so different. You and I. We're the same person. Batman. Me and you do the same shit. You know, stop trying to run from. Stop trying to run from the truth. Yeah, that's their position, like dead ass. Like they it's basically me and you are the same.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to read any more slave narratives anymore. No, that's the good thing because now all the questions I used to have, because I used to always ask myself questions like, how did they enslave this many people for this many centuries? I used to always ask that shit. Now I know it wasn't because they were such great or they were so supreme. They had more collaborators with their oppressors and their conquerors than there were those that opposed it. I used to read the slave narratives. I'm trying to figure this shit. I'm like, how did they impose this system on such a widespread area? They didn't have the technology we had to track no one. And it became so clear that, bro, I would bet you, we weren't living back then, but if I'm judging by how Black people carry themselves today, it was mostly because of the collaborators with the system that actually kept that shit moving for 500 years or whatever it was. I really believe
it was always the collaborators inside who actually found a level of comfort inside that kept the things going. It was
MOT.
Yeah,
real quick, brother. I'm gonna be silent for a minute, man. I'm gonna take these hounds out, but just don't drop me off the panel. But I ain't gonna be saying shit for a minute.
All right. Yeah, but this is just where we are, man. And a lot of people have to recognize that individual productivity and keeping it away from people who don't respect it is the key. It's the only key. Doesn't matter all this other stuff that they're trying to get you to maximize to actually, increase your Daggle coin within the actual environment. None of that matters. As long as you keep your productivity away from them, you already won. Period. That's the only thing that matters. And the only thing you got to do is move around better people. And that's going to take a lot of work for you to move around and figure out where you want to be. Because where you currently are, you're already not being respected or celebrated. So you might as well move on to better people while you can. You don't need the redemption story. You just need a better understanding of what the beginning and end of the story is, clearly.
Yeah, I don't want to take any power away from the gun. Of course, there was collaborators, but I mean, fear and violence are very, very strong motivators. I mean, also you had collaborators, which were basically the slave master's kids, which is it's much more easy. What's the phrase? It's easier to get people to listen to you if you feed them honey instead of shit. So yeah, I mean, yes, there's a lot of factors including that. So you can't take power away from really obvious shit like guns and slave children that were. I mean, that's how pimping got started. The slave masters' kids. I mean. So we can't take power away from the obvious, but yeah, collaborators definitely. You got them. You got fuck niggas that existed in all time periods. That is the way that shit goes.
Yeah. So obviously I've been out here for 3 hours. Damn, I gotta get out here, get this workout in, and go down to New Mexico. So you got any last words, Sir Obadiah?
I appreciate you having me on the panel. Good discussion for you fellas, man. Yeah, just try not to get caught up in the trick bag. All right, peace. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Agon, you got any last words?
Thanks for having me on. It was a good stream to have, especially because what's going on in this space. You know, this is all propaganda, everything. So you can't just say the right thing one day and then walk away and come back 20 years later. Like, why didn't y'all listen to me? It was the right thing. You have to always keep doing it. That's how the world runs. And most people don't get things because they hear it a billion times. So I thank you for always being around. Shout out to you, King Sigma. I love your work.
Appreciate you, bro.
Some real, you were like the first version of Zero. That's why I like gravitated to Zero shit so much.
How can I be the first version of Zero? Zero was here before me.
I mean, I didn't know Zero at the time, and I was like,
yeah,
he did so much research. I'm like, God damn.
I'm
and
Johnny lately on the panel right now.
Yeah. Grand check for the 99 super chat. Welcome to the Black Pill. Our Legion is freedom. That's exactly what it is. What it is, man. We Avengers disassembled, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're good. King Sigma, you got any last words before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I would just say, what I've always said, man, is it's free thought, free choice, and free movement. And that's the principles that I'm moving by. And to me, if you are opposed to black men exercising their options and moving freely, then you're just an enemy of free thinking black men. And it's that simple. So no hugs will be had, no handshakes. Let's just stay in our separate lanes and just keep it moving. So thanks for having me on MOT. All you guys have a good one.
All right, later. And before I get to Zero, you have to understand that these people are purposefully misunderstanding things deliberately to try to make a name for themselves and try to destroy simplistic concepts that we already understand. This is why they're coming behind the movement, trying to redefine things on some retcon stuff, because they're saboteurs. Saboteurs will never fight you straight up like enemies. They want to be inside the camp and they want to poke holes in the blimp and then try to act stupid on why the thing is losing altitude. This is the only thing that they can do because they can't have straight up and straightforward conversations. But Zero, your last word before we get up out of here.
Yeah. You can be a comfortable slave or you can be free. Don't let bitches and bitch ass niggas dictate how you move. I mean, well, bitches and they're the same thing. They're all bitches. Don't let bitches dictate what the fuck you do, because the thing is, just like bitches, they don't even like each other.
Yes.
Like they don't like each other. They only deal with each other long enough to where they can't tolerate each other anymore, and then they shit all over each other, just like bitches. So if you want to keep listening to them niggas for the entertainment, because listening to bitches squawk is funny, you can do that, but don't let them niggas dictate how you live your life, because they are bitches, and if you let bitches run you, then you'll be fucking eunuch. So just don't do it.
All right, cool. I know Sean's out there walking, but I want to thank everybody for coming through on this morning. Let me do my Patreon content so that way I can be able to get the week started off right. I want to thank everybody in the panelists all for coming through. I want to thank for the people who actually super chatted and actually part of the discussions going on art. And I want to thank you guys for coming through. And you guys have a really nice day. Peace.